Hey guys, we're back on campus.
That's right, I'm here on campus.
We're in a very secret location.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
yeah.
welcome back to another episode of Over the Hump podcast.
We're your hosts, Joe and Pablo, as usual. So today we have the always fabulous, always
Stunning.
stunning, yes. And that's it. Any
We
more
have
adjectives?
We have Mr. Wyks.
Yeah, we have Mr. Wyks. We have a conversation with him. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We go.
So for our first question, it's how did you get started working at Brent?
I came here in 2005 from Florida, where I was teaching in a middle school. And I was teaching English and social science, taught some math and science. I was really teaching a number of different subjects. So that was kind of an interesting experience. It was a large public school. And I had an interest to go back overseas, as I'd lived overseas for many years. It's something I wanted to do. So I had the opportunity to interview at Brent, and I did so. And I was hired here. And I started actually at Brent, Manila. And I taught grade 9 and 10 English. And later I moved to Brent Subic for 2 years. And then we actually moved up to Brent Baguio for, how long was that? 9 years, I believe. So I am one of those few people that's actually been to all 3 of the major campuses, excluding Pasig, of course, that was the older campus.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's okay to ask this, but like, which one's your favorite? Which Brent campus has been your favorite so far?
Well, it was like Mr. Robbins' line. He says when he goes to APAC or Isaac, I root for Brent.
Okay, so we'll just move
Yeah,
on.
really hard to say. No, I understand. I'm not trying to be too clever there. It's hard to say because I love Subic because of the environment, the big monkey pod trees in the backyard and being near the ocean. And I love Baguio because of the mountains and the cool air and the rain. And this campus here at Manila is so beautiful and amazing. So they're all like kind of tied for first place. It's really hard to separate one from the other. Quite honestly, I mean.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So we were told that that before you became a principal, you had your own radio show in China, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, it wasn't a radio show. I worked for a radio station in Taipei, in Taiwan, for many years, about 15 years. I worked in radio. I was a reporter from my first career, and then later I went into education. So I worked at a radio station in Taipei, Taiwan. It was all English language radio. It had some Chinese in it. So I worked there for a good number of years. And then I was invited with a group of people to set up a radio station in Hong Kong. So we moved over there. We started a radio station. It was part of a network that was an all news operation. So it's like 24 hours of news a day. And it was in English primarily, a little bit of Cantonese in there. It was essentially an English language radio station. So there I worked in news, and I was also a sports reporter for many years. And then I also worked more in administration, being like in a position like general manager of the station for a time. And I did a lot of different jobs. The radio station in Taiwan actually was quite, in some ways it was sort of big fish in a small pond, I suppose. It's the only English language radio station there. It had a very wide listenership, but in many ways it was a small station. So the operation was one where you tended to know everybody, the DJs, the people in the news, a lot of people you work with. So it was nice. It had a small sort of community feeling to it. And being in that sort of environment, you're able to do a number of different jobs and learn different things. So it was a really interesting, fun experience in that way.
Yeah, what was your favorite aspect of that job?
Oh, probably doing sports, really. I got to go to 2 Winter Olympics.
Oh.
I got to meet a lot of different famous personalities who would come through Taiwan or Hong Kong, especially a lot of NBA guys who would go away in the summer. You know, they go away in the summer on these shoe junkets. You probably know about that because they come to the Philippines too. And they're looking to sell their latest shoe for Adidas or Nike or what have you. So they'll be in the country, you know, sometimes only for 6 or 12 hours, like Michael Jordan. I think he just flew in, did a few events, and he was gone. But some of the other ones who maybe are a little less of a big star would actually stay for a day or two and do more promotions in the country. So interviewing or being around those people was kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah, what we wanted to ask you also was like, are there any lessons that you would like to share with us, like from that experience?
I think for me, I came to understand something about myself, that I'm a person who relies very much on organization and being prepared to be successful in a job. You know, I'm not a very extemporaneous sort of person. I don't do so well with things just kind of off the cuff. And, you know, you probably know it from your own lives. There's people who will wait till the 11th hour to do everything. It's almost like they need that pressure of the deadline. You know, maybe some students can relate to this, okay? So you might see it somewhere even in the room perhaps, but I don't work that way. And I really need to be well prepared for things. So I think I probably learned that lesson from working in radio, being prepared and needing that preparation to feel like I can carry out the job in the right way.
Yeah, that's something many Brent students need, especially nowadays.
Perhaps.
So our next question I wanted to ask you is, were there any funny stories you had while working at the radio station?
Oh, there's a lot of them. Well, one funny one that's a short one. I used to work with this DJ, and when I first got to the radio station, I worked a lot of night shifts. You work like overnight, you're on the air doing the news or whatever you're doing. And this DJ was a guy who had all these different hobbies. And one of them was radio-controlled airplanes and helicopters. So it was a winter's night in Taipei. I remember it was, actually we had a little snow that night. It's really cold outside. But he said, come out in the parking lot. This is like midnight or 1 a.m. And he was on a break. We're both on a break because someone is reading the news. So this guy's in the studio reading the news. And we go outside the station in the parking lot. There's nobody around, it's the middle of the night. And he shows off this helicopter and he goes up and it's pretty cool. He controls it. And we know we only have about 5 minutes left. So we put it away, he puts it back in his car, and then we go. We're locked out of the building. And we could see through the window this guy in there reading the news. And he's looking around because, you know, radio, you're never supposed to have what they call dead air. Not supposed to have any time where there's no sound. So he was a young guy and he's just getting started. So he was scared to death of any dead air. So eventually he had to turn the mic off and go let us in because we're waving and all this kind of thing. But it was funny, he read the weather 4 or 5 times in a row, just kind of reading the weather, hoping that one of us was going to come in the other studio and turn on the mic and start the program.
Oh, okay. So our last question regarding your time at the radio station, are there any practices that you've carried over from like broadcasting to being a principal?
Let's see. Well, I think maybe the main one of, like I was saying, being organized and kind of having preparation down for the day. Beyond that, I can't really think of too much that might carry over. I'm sure there's some things, but I just can't think of it at the moment.
Yeah, like, no, like any like rituals that you do that you've done consistently over your tenure as a principal and as part of the radio station?
Yeah, I mean, probably just back to being a person who really relies heavily on preparation and just planning things out and being organized. Maybe that carries over into my office environment. I don't know. I don't really like a messy desk. Beyond that, at the moment, I can't really think of anything too much. But I suppose that's how I operate best. So I guess I kind of carried that over into my work in education.
Okay. So we're now moving away from the radio stuff, and we're gonna go over to your childhood memories. Are there any memories from your childhood that are important to you and had the most impact on you, had the most impact on the person you are today?
Well, I think probably my father. He was an educator, and I think one of the reasons I was drawn to education is the enjoyment that he got from it, both as a teacher and later as an administrator. And he worked in special education, primarily at schools for the deaf in the US. And I think just that sense of satisfaction that he had from working at a school and being part of a community like that and seeing students grow and learn. I think my sort of admiring him and what he was able to achieve and what it meant to him really had an impact on me.
Yeah. So is that all, Mr. Wyks?
Yeah, I can't think of anything too much beyond that. Childhood experiences. Yeah. I'm sure there's probably more, but I can't think of them at the moment. I thought you were just kind of looking for one.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so here's a more funny question. So what's the strangest reason that a student has gotten their conduct card signed that you've ever seen? Because we know that you're the one who looks over the conduct cards, right, before someone gets detention. Is there any like strange reasons like a student got their conduct card signed?
There was one at another school, the school in Baguio, and it was actually for a student returning a book on time.
What?
But the reason that he got the conduct card signed, or at that time he got what was called an orange slip up in Baguio, was because he was not carrying out the right process to return the book, and he was putting it in this book chute. We used to kind of have a little hole or slot we could fit a book in, when we had already moved away from that. In fact, we'd even covered the book slot, but for some reason the student kept going back, uncovering the book slot and putting it in, even though we'd set up a totally different protocol. Now, I don't know why he did this necessarily, but eventually he did get this orange slip. It's kind of like getting a full conduct card. And he came to me, he said, "Mr. Wyks, like, how can this be? I get like a full conduct card, or I get this detention for returning a book on time." So it was a bit ironic, because actually what he was saying was accurate. He just wasn't following the correct protocol. And it gotten to the point where, the librarian was a little bit frustrated with this. So the idea was to get him to follow the correct routine.
Very interesting. I didn't think that someone would get their card signed for returning a book.
That's right.
Okay, so our next and last thorough question is something we usually ask all our guests, and that's, what are the kinds of movies, shows, and music that you like?
Yeah, what would you recommend us to check out during our free time, of course, because focus on school first.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Well, music, I probably like everyone, I like all sorts of different kinds of music, especially more, I guess, from, rock genre of 1960s and 70s in particular. When I was younger, so I like that kind of music. In terms of movies and films, I like a lot of the old classic, just to give you something unusual. I mean, I could recount the usual popular Netflix shows, I guess, but I'm really a big fan of old comedies. I mean, really old, these things from the 1930s and 40s. W.C. Fields, the Marx Brothers, comedies of that sort, which I enjoy. And a lot of old movies from that time, even some of the old monster movies, where the werewolf and Dracula. And I think if you watch them now, they look kind of funny and quaint. But as a kid, I always thought those were very interesting, the way they were filmed and some of the history of how those movies were made and the actors who were involved in them. I've always found that kind of interesting. In recent years, I've done some reading on that. So I guess that's kind of an unusual aspect of what I watch in terms of movies and TV.
Yeah, is there any specific ones you would recommend?
Boy. Don't know. What do you think? Yeah, I think any movies, old movies with like W.C. Fields in them, he's quite funny. I don't know if anyone really would have heard of him in this day and age. And I do like, I guess, more contemporary people like Jack Nicholson. Maybe you've heard of him. Some of his comedies and some of the things that he's been involved with. I guess they're not always comedies. Sometimes they're a little bit dark comedies. Yeah, sorry, I can't think of anything else beyond that at the moment.
That's all right. We're gonna move on to our next section of the interview. So we were going around campus yesterday and today. We were asking different students the same questions that we're gonna be asking you. It's just rapid fire questions. All you need is like a 1-word or 1-sentence response. And these are funny questions, so we just want your insight on them. Okay. So our first question. As the supreme leader of Earth, what other planet in our solar system would you colonize?
Mars.
Yes, okay. If you had a pet 3-headed dog, what would you name it?
Sorry, a pet?
3-headed dog, what would you name it?
Trio.
Would you rather have no legs or no arms?
No arms.
Who would you rather have with you in a zombie apocalypse? Mr. Atkins or Dr. Bustamante?
Dr. Bustamante.
All right. If you had to sleep in school, where would you stay?
My office.
If you were in a video game, what's your special move?
Spin move.
What is the powerhouse of the cell?
Powerhouse of the, sorry?
Of the cell.
Powerhouse of the cell. Electrons. I'm not sure what that means.
Mitochondria. Because whenever they teach us, like here at school, they would teach us that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So it's something.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bit foggy for me. I've done too much reading up on science recently.
As the supreme leader of Earth, what other planet in our solar system would you colonize?
Saturn.
Mars. Jupiter.
Pluto.
If you had a pet 3-headed dog, what would you name it?
A pet 3-headed dog?
Yeah, what would you name it?
Huey, Louie, and Dewey.
Peter.
What?
Peter.
Peter.
Yeah.
So this 3-headed dog.
Yeah.
I have names for each one head.
Yeah.
All 3?
Yeah, go.
Oh gosh. Snap, crackle, pop. Is that the Rice Krispies? I'm boring.
Would you rather have no legs or no arms?
Oh my gosh. Probably no legs.
Oh my gosh. No arms?
No. I need them for driving. I'd have no legs.
Okay. Who would you rather have with you in a zombie apocalypse, Mr. Atkins or Dr. Bustamante?
Dr. Bustamante. I'm sorry, Mr. Atkins.
Either one.
Dr. Bustamante.
If you had to sleep in school, where would you stay?
I would stay in the library.
My room.
Library. Cafe.
If you were in a video game, what's your special move?
Oh. What's my special move? Creating weapons.
I'd probably have like a sword, and then the sword would turn into like, I don't know, like turn into fire or something.
Nice.
Fly. You're the same with him.
Okay. What's the powerhouse of the cell?
Sorry?
What's the powerhouse of the cell?
Mitochondria.
Hey!
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria.
Thank you. Yes, okay, so our last two questions. One is we asked this from all our guests. What are three very influential songs in your life?
Oh, let's see. I don't know if influential, maybe there was so many songs, but let me see. Well, I suppose Summer Wind by Frank Sinatra.
If it's okay, maybe give like a tiny backstory behind the songs.
I guess it reminds me of growing up. I like the orchestration and Sinatra's voice, his way of singing. Bob Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue. I really like Bob Dylan a lot. Lyrics to his songs and just the sound of them, I suppose. Even his vocals, which are kind of quirky and maybe not all that melodic and beautiful, but there's something authentic about it. And I like jazz music. Recently, I've been listening to like Stanley Clarke a lot, which is somebody I hadn't really explored before. I do like that about Spotify. It gives me a chance to listen to music of people that I just in the past didn't have the money to buy the record albums. So now I can go back over all these years and actually listen to their music. I was always wondered what it was like. So
That's great.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna add those songs to the playlist, and we always ask the guests for songs, so we're gonna add that to the playlist that we've been creating with the participants.
oh, that's right. Yeah, sure. Playlist, great.
Okay, for our last question, what's your advice for students going back to school? Or is there any piece of wisdom that you want us to embrace, not only in our school lives, but in general?
I think just to take it slow and realize, as some of the counselors have said, sort of echoed their point, that you will have some ups and downs. It's kind of an odd experience, as someone was saying the other day. It's almost like we never left, but in some ways it's almost like we're doing something peculiar or strange after being away from campus for 22 months. So I guess there's that kind of pull between these two different feelings, perhaps. So just to take each day as it comes, and there's going to be some ups and downs, I suppose, for a lot of people, but to just stick through it and keep to your routines, and I think everything will work out just fine.
Well, that's great. That's it. Yeah, that's all we have for you, Mr. Wyks. So if you don't have any maybe announcements or anything that you want to share, or anything you want to say, I think that's all from us.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, yeah, it's my pleasure. Good luck with this. I like your series. I'll have to tune in more.
That's great.
Going on Spotify next month?
I keep telling Paul that we should go on Spotify, but we like having a visual component to our videos, so we just keep it on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank
You guys have a good afternoon.
Thanks, sir. See you.
Okay, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Wyks, for chatting with us today, and thank you for all of those watching. We hope you enjoyed that. See you guys. Stay clean. We can't say that anymore.
Stay clean.
No,
Stay clean.
stay clean. No, we can't say that anymore. Wow.
Okay, something in school. Learn that in school. Be cool in school.
No, that's
so lame.
It's so lame. Keep it tight. No, that's too.
Bye.
Sayonara. Sayonara, carbonara. What's that sound? We're gonna die. Hey, we'll see you guys.
Oh, you guys see this? We're traveling through time. Look at that.
out the window. Everything's going so fast. What the heck? Wait, I have to get home. It's already 5.
Wait, we can't be seen at school at 5 o'clock. We had to leave 2 hours ago.
We have to leave. We have to sneak out.
Oh, this is a new mission. This is so cool.
That's so scary.
It's an escape mission from school.
Escape room? I know this is time travel. This is time travel.
Guys, so if you're out here ever in like the study room, the library, just know that you run the risk of traveling through time.
Yeah. Just be careful.
You don't want to mess with time, don't you?
Yeah.
done.
No.
I feel,
I don't want that.
yeah. Look at that.
That's weird. It's actually so crazy though.